Today we're looking at linear models and point-slope form. The essential question is, how do I find missing measures in linear functions? So you've got 3 warm-up questions. Is this a function? Justify. Evaluate those 2 equations, or those 2 functions, and then finally draw a line connecting the correct form with the correct example. So pause the video and see if you can do that now. Well, I do hope you tried. So if we're looking at number 1, is that a function? What do we look at? Well, we look at how many lines, how many arrows are drawn from each one of our points on our input. A has 1, B has 1, C has 1 arrow, D has 1 arrow, and E has 1 arrow. So each input is paired with exactly 1 output. That makes it a function. So each input is mapped to exactly 1 output. For the next one, you've got a function f of x and you've got a function g of x. So as I'm looking at these, what do I do? Well, I notice I've got g. Where x is, I've got -4. So I'm going to use the correct equation, and I'm going to substitute my -4 in for x. So it's -2 times -4. -2 times -4 is +8. So when I take my function g and evaluate it with -4 for x, I get +8. The same thing happens with our function f. So I'm looking at my function f. I know that x is 5. So I'm going to use that equation to, in place of my x, I use 5 plus 4. This gives me 10 plus 4, which is equal to 14. So my function f, when I evaluate with 5 for x, my answer is 14. For my last warm-up question, I'm going to draw a line to the correct example. So if I'm looking at the point-slope form, I've got it right down here. It's number 1. What about the standard form? The standard form is that form ax plus by equals c. So that's number 3. And finally, that leaves us with our slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So we've worked with the slope-intercept form, we've graphed with it, we've looked at the point-slope form, we haven't done a lot with it, and we haven't done a lot with the standard form. So let's look at the first problem. Lakeisha adds the same amount of money to a savings account each month. After 8 weeks, she has saved a total of $576, and after 20 weeks, there is $1,140, $1,140. How much money does she deposit each week? Well, first thing we have to look at, what are the 2 points that we need? And what are we actually looking for? Well, we're actually looking for the slope of the line. The first point is 8 and 576. The second point is 20 and 1,140. What is our slope? The change in y over the change in x. So my change in y is 576 minus 1,140 over 8 minus 20. Using a calculator is always easiest if you have one available. 576 minus 1,140 is negative 564. Over 8 minus 20 is negative 12. I could do that one in my head. So 500 and negative 564 divided by negative 12, and I get 47. So after I divide, I end up with 47. What does that mean? That means each week she puts $47 in her savings account. So what was the initial amount? Well, if I'm looking, it looks like she started at 200. How can I check? So if I'm looking at this point is 0, 200. So y is equal to 47 times 0 plus 200. And y, the b would be equal to 200 then. And this should say 200 is equal to, I did it a little bit wrong. 200 is equal to 47 times 0 plus b, and b is equal to 200. We could also do it by putting in either one of these 2 points. So if I want to double check, 576, is that equal to 47 times 8 plus 200. So if I'm looking at this, 47 times 8 plus 200, and I get 576, so I do know I've got that correct. So how many weeks total must she save to have at least $25,300? I know my slope, I know my output, but I do not know my input. So I'm going to start off with 25,300 is equal to 47 times x plus 200. What do we do first? Well, we will. Okay, if it's at least, will it be an equal? No, it will not be an equal. Is greater than or equal to 47 x plus 200. Step 1, subtract 200 from both sides. $25,100 is greater than or equal to 47x. Divide by 47. Okay. 25,100 divided by 47, and I end up with 534.04. So, looking at that, how many weeks would you need? Think about it. Can I do 4/100 of a week? No. I actually have to round up because she will not have 25,300 until at the end of the 35th week, 535 weeks. Because that is not counting any interest you might gain. Mitchell uses an older digital camera that he got at a thrift store. Each picture takes 3 megabytes of space on the memory card. If S represents the amount of space left on the memory card, and P represents the number of pictures taken, then the amount of space remaining on the card can be modeled by S evaluated with P is equal to negative 3P plus 489. He created a table and the graph. What does S of 0 represent in this content? Okay, S of 0 is the amount of space before any pictures are taken. He has 498 megabytes of space before any picture is taken. Okay, so how does this value appear on the table? Well, on the table, it's where the pictures are, the number of pictures are 0. And on the graph, it's up here where you're at 0. It shows the total amount you can take. So what does the slope of negative 3 represent? The amount of space used with each picture. Okay, now, how do we find it? Well, if I'm looking at this is your slope. So for the table and the graph, it's the slope. Is the function increasing or decreasing? What do you think? Looking at the line, is that a positive or negative slope? It's a negative slope. You're going from 498 to 458, 468. It is decreasing.